Today's science fiction is tomorrow's science fact. Do you like sci-fi? I've loved sci-fi ever since I was very young. And sci-fi is a very important genre because it's always changing and evolving with the times. So I'm going to focus in this speech on its origins, how it's grown over the years, and how it's developed in modern times. So the first widely recognized science fiction story is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And the story speculates on what could happen if life was created by a person, like in a way that it's not happening in nature. And it was really a critique of the use of science without a conscience, as was pointed out by Sherry Jin in a paper she wrote about Frankenstein. And this motif has stuck around in science fiction since then. Think Jurassic Park, even the creation of artificial intelligence. Like, are people supposed to do these things just because it can be done? So that's a big impact on science fiction right off from the start. Another big player in early science fiction was Jules Verne. He wrote a ton of stories, and they were mostly adventure-focused stories, especially in the beginning. And he wrote about that, but they also involved advanced technology and things like that that played into the story and really fueled the plot. And according to the Encyclopedia Britannica, Jules was pretty well off when he wrote many of his more optimistic earlier stories. But then once he got later into life and his life went a little downhill, a lot of his stories became more cynical and negative. So then the 20th century rolled around and sci-fi exploded onto the scene. Mostly in like cheap disposable pulp magazines, but one of the most influential writers in science fiction got his start there. That's Isaac Asimov. He wrote a ton of stories, like so many, because these pulp magazines came out. It was a serial thing. And they just kept coming out, so he had to keep writing. But one of the main themes that he wrote about was robots and artificial intelligence. And that's something you can even see in sci-fi today and in movies and stuff like that. Another revolutionary writer and thinker of the 20th century was Gene Roddenberry. You may know him from Star Trek. That's what he's most well known for. And Star Trek was really the biggest, like, generation-crossing success for sci-fi and TV that's still widely recognized today. There had been other ones, but this is, like, the most widely recognized. And this is known because it has so many tropes and themes that are still used in sci-fi today, like interstellar travel, like First Contact, all sorts of things like that. And it also had a very optimistic ideology, kind of like 70s themed when it came out. Oh, and Gene even worked with Asimov. So modern science fiction owes its success to these pioneers of the genre. And sci-fi has changed a lot over the years. As the 80s and 90s rolled around, things became more cynical, and they also focused on themes of the advancements in technology and how fast they were coming. This development made the subgenre cyberpunk, which is like The Matrix, Blade Runner, things like that, where big corporations are like the man. They're using technology to oppress people and go behind their back, also with a very digital theme, because that was a fairly new technology at the time. And now, it's more diversified and widespread than ever, especially because of a post-internet world we live in. You can find sci-fi on basically anything. And a lot of the aesthetic of sci-fi today is very detailed and realistic looking because of the advancements in CGI. But we're still just barely entering into the world of the 21st century. So I can't wait to see what themes come out, but a lot of the ones in today's world are very dystopian and cynical still. Maybe in the future they'll become more optimistic again. But it's continued to change drastically in the past century, and I can't wait to see where it goes.